2025 Comprehensive Plan Team Meeting. Just a reminder, the last recording, I don't think everybody had their microphones on. It was a little hard to hear everybody, so let's make sure we get our microphones on. Present today, we have Birch Craig, Dwight Youthy, Caitlin McCumsky. Jeremy did let me know he was not going to be able to make it today. So I do apologize getting the agenda out late this month. I'm a little behind with the holidays. Did you guys have a chance to look over the meeting minutes? Did you have any correction?
Wasn't here.
No, that's good.
Okay, wonderful. We'll mark those as complete and get those posted to the website. Update on our survey is our next agenda item. Our survey is officially closed. We had 242 responses. I do have a handful of hard copies that just came in that I'll make sure get entered before I finalize that. And then
You pulled the hard copies from the front?
Yep. And then I'll check in with the library as well to make sure that we got all of the hard copies from there. I don't think they got many. And then I will try to get some preliminary stuff together from the survey for our next meeting in February. I think that'll also be a good opportunity to sort of finalize some of our plans for the public meetings. I think the survey may provide a little bit more clarity on how we want to do that. The agenda, there it is. Update on our contract. So I did chat with Eileen a little bit on the zoning map. She wanted to have Holly take a look at it. Joe, the code enforcement officer, took a look at it. And then he said everything looked good to him. She wanted Holly to just take a look at it as well, the assessor. And then we were still kind of questioning like who was supposed to certify it. And when I was doing the meeting minutes from last meeting, we did say we just want to follow up with the county for some additional clarification. So I'll touch base with Thomas Lyon just to kind of walk us through why the town clerk is the one to certify it.
You can ask Kyle.
Yep,
He's got a promotion.
you did. Oh, great.
He's a official planner now. I think before he was assistant planner.
Okay. Well, that's very exciting. Congratulations, Kyle. Yeah, so we'll just circle back with them. I'll have to check in with Thomas anyways here in the next couple of weeks. I had sent, which is our next item on the agenda, I had sent him a list of questions and comments we'd had from the first couple of sections we'd reviewed. So I'll check in with him to see the update on that. And then I also had asked him to send us just like a summary of the hours that we had used in 2024 for our records. He didn't think we were going to go over that 40 hours of free technical assistance. But I think just for our documentation.
Can we get that? Another 40 hours
That is what I was told, yes.
Okay.
That should have reset, so we should get another 40 hours of technical assistance for 2025. So that's all the updates for the county contract.
Kyle has our other maps.
Yep, so we're still waiting. We're waiting on a couple of items from them. Some of the questions and comments we'd had, and I think we'll review the last section of the plan tonight. So I think it'll be any questions we have from section 6, 7, and 8 that are county specific. I'll get those over to them. And then, yeah, so we're just kind of waiting on a few items from that. Okay, any other questions about the county contract before we dive into section 8? So Dwight, we had, on last meeting's agenda, we had 6, 7, and 8.
Right.
And we got through 6 and 7 and it was starting to get late, so we pushed reviewing section 8
I saw that.
to, this meeting. So let's see here.
Hmm.
Organized here. Okay, and we had chatted about this a little bit at the last meeting. But this first section in section 8, I think is really well worded and I think would make a better introduction to this whole plan than the current. I don't love the current introduction. I had that flagged as something that I think needs to be expanded or explained better. So I didn't know your guys' thoughts about maybe simplifying this section simplifying this introduction for section 8 a little bit and moving some of this information to the purpose of a comprehensive plan and the introduction.
Sounds like a good idea.
Did we get any update on the maps?
The only map we've received back is the zoning map.
So they're still,
And that's the one we were saying, the code enforcement has reviewed, he said it looked good. The assessor is going to review. Eileen said it looked good, and then we just need clarification about how that gets certified. The rest of the maps we're still waiting on.
okay.
I didn't have many comments until section 8.1.2. The plan as it's currently written is supposed to have a biennial review. That hasn't been happening. I think, to me, that seems a little unnecessary. I think we already chat about this? Did we talk about maybe going to like a 5-year check-in to see if we're sort of meeting some of the implementation and goals of the plan? I think it seems like a lot to try and do this every 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Especially when it's not being done.
Well, I think that's the point, maybe, is that you're supposed to check in every 2 years and make sure
Right.
that it's getting done.
Mm.
But I think I apologize if we've already had these conversations and feeling a little fuzzy after the holidays. But a lot of this stuff and we can chat more about this once we look at the survey results. But a lot of this is maintaining status quo, like that's what our residents say they want. So
I think 5 years is good.
I don't think, if there were things that we had identified as like drastic changes or improvements that we wanted to see, maybe that would warrant a check-in more often. But to me, I think we should propose 5 years.
I agree. What do you think, Bert?
Yeah.
5.
And then I think this is something I thought
5 years from the date of adoption.
Yes. And then I thought that maintaining the plan, the next section, 8.1.3, the planning board has the responsibility for maintaining the plan. The planning board will fulfill this task by using 2 mechanisms: an ongoing plan update log and a biennial plan maintenance report. So I think maybe as a planning board, do we need to discuss this section with our other members?
No, I think you just do it. Who else is gonna maintain it?
Well, I think as a planning board, we're gonna maintain it, but I guess. The plan update log contains all suggestions, comments, and concerns regarding land use. The maintenance report contains all actions taken on items in the plan's update log.
Aye.
A formal process for maintaining the plan needs to be established in order to maintain the plan. There must be periodic evaluations to ensure that the document continues to be relevant. These evaluations involve the collection of data and the analysis of the implications of the information on present and future conditions in the town.
Isn't that like doing a new plan every 10 years? It's kind of redundant in that I mean-
So,
they're telling you, I mean, first of all, they're saying every 2 years, we're saying every 5 years, but we're
yeah,
not gonna collect new data
no.
every
No.
5 years or
No.
2 years or whatever. I mean,
So I think that if you guys are okay with this, I think maybe I'll sit down and I think there is some value in chatting about the plan as a planning board. You know, not every meeting, but you know, just
you could do it like, okay, at the January meeting. We say, is everyone familiar with the plan?
yeah.
Any ideas, thoughts? We need to make any changes, updates?
Yeah, and maybe that's something I will take on as vice chair of the planning board is. And maybe we write that into the plan that the vice chair will
And or do it
check in.
when we elect in December. When we elect who's gonna be the chair and vice chair, right? I mean, that way. It's part of the process every year. You gotta elect
Mhm.
the officers. At the same time, we review the plan.
Yeah.
Or do it in January, but I'm thinking maybe it would be easier to remember.
Well, that's if the vice chair can remember to come to the December meeting.
This is a problem, and so it could be a whole year before we
Could be
Uh,
longer,
look at this.
Yeah.
Again,
Aye, right, and we already got the 5-year part.
yeah,
How as long as it's been 15, right?
10.
10.
It was adopted February 9th,
All right,
2015.
10 years.
Okay, so I think that all makes sense. I'll take a stab at sort of reorganizing this section, but I definitely think there is value in making sure that we're familiar with the plan and not just doing all this work and then shelving it and not looking at it for 10 years. But I also don't think we need to create more work, like what value, I want to make sure what we do has value. Our time is going towards something that is really actually valuable.
Good.
Okay. So
and if we get a new planning board member, would it be as part as introducing them to the planning board? Say, we suggest you review the comprehensive plan.
and I think that maybe we had chatted about this or there was another.
I mean, that's just an informal.
Section, I almost feel like they should be able to get an hour of training. Did we chat about this? Like maybe
I don't think we did talk, at least I wasn't here. when we did.
maybe it was the meeting
That I missed.
that you missed and you were here. I almost feel like we chatted about like, new members need a certain amount of training. Like, could they get an hour of training for reading the plan?
Yeah, but you're really not. I don't know.
And I think that would, we'd have to check with Ted as the chair and does that actually meet requirements, but
it's,
when you come on as a new planning board member, like it's a lot. None of
Yeah.
us have planning backgrounds. I feel like it took me years to feel confident in what I was doing. And still sometimes I'm like, wait,
Well, yeah, I mean, just being aware of the zoning, you know, the town laws and
You
reading
get
through
this,
that.
you
is-
get this giant code book.
Right.
I mean, it's
and-
Through
confusing
that.
when you start, but yes.
So I think it's a lot to like throw this on and there's not,
No, I don't think this will take much for someone to read through. It's not
Yeah.
required reading, but let them know that it exists and.
and maybe if we are going to be checking in about it every year, you know, we'll make sure our new members
Right.
know, hey, next month. Just a reminder, everybody, next month, we're gonna talk about the plan, please take,
Right, you
Sometime
could
to-
actually establish a quiz.
Mhm.
You have to take a quiz. In January based on reading
I make a new one each year.
with different,
Yeah,
yes,
make
not the
it what
same
it-
answers each time.
Yeah, I do, I always
It's not a
say,
bad idea.
So speaking of quizzes, my son teaches earth science and he gave a makeup quiz today and one of the girls approached him and said, can you tell me how I did?
yeah,
And he said, oh, so you want me to mark this up now? She
Yeah.
said, no, can you tell me if I got the answers right or wrong now before you score it?
yeah,
Well, other teachers do it for me. Oh, let me check
Really?
on- Let me check on that.
That's interesting. Wow.
Oh.
I gotta use that.
she tried,
Yeah, she tried.
if only all life could be like that.
Right.
Okay, yeah, so I think that that'll naturally happen, that our new members and existing members will become familiar with it. If we're checking in about it every year, we can give people a month's notice, heads up, hey, remember, next month, we're gonna chat about this, please take a little time to
Yeah.
flip through it. For the next section, 8.1.4, I had highlighted at the end of the first paragraph. It says the planning board shall adopt a set of uniform administrative procedures for reviewing and amending the plan. These procedures shall be submitted to the town board for approval and become part of the town code. Does anybody know if that was done?
I don't think so.
Maybe I'll check with Ted.
It doesn't, well, we've been amending this plan. We've been amending it.
Procedures shall include how an amendment application is made and who may apply. The components of a complete application to amend the plan shall also be specified. I mean, this goes on and on about,
I think it's
But we-
way,
Yeah.
I mean, any changes or amendments would go through the planning board first, since the planning board is responsible for doing that. If a change is made, they would submit it to the town board and just like any other.
yeah,
I think this is really,
Redundant.
yeah, it's way overboard and I doubt if it was done.
I agree. Okay, so I'm gonna look through this. And chat with Ted. I think I wanna circle back about maintaining a plan and amending the plan. Because if it was done. We have to make sure that we're meeting all these standards right now, like technically, I don't think there was ever a resolution. Creating this team, we were directed by the town board, but there was no like formal resolution. So if this actually was adopted to town code, we have to make sure that we're actually meeting it.
I don't think it's part of the town code, at least the town code that I've looked at.
I'm not familiar with it being in there either.
No, I think this is,
So, okay. So really this whole section, it seems like we're all kind of in agreement on how we think this should go. And I'll work on chatting with Ted and then updating that. Any other last comments for section 8? Or it seems like we kind of need a full rewrite, so I think probably once I get you guys a
rewrite
version.
and simplification,
Mhm.
like.
But we'll probably have to discuss that a little bit more, once you guys get the red line version. Okay. I think, I didn't assign it and I don't think we're ready to do the glossary. I think we really need to get the rest of the draft plan updated and then revisit the glossary at that point. So that brings us to kind of an end for reviewing the existing plan. So like I said, we'll take a look at the survey results next time, and move forward. And our last agenda item is, the public's meeting discussion. So I think and I know we keep setting tentative dates and pushing those back. But as I've said before, I think one of the most important pieces of this is the public engagement piece and the public meetings. So I just really want to make sure that we do that piece right. So to me, it's better to push it back and have more time and make sure that we have something that is engaging and meaningful. So I think hopefully next meeting in February, I can pull a few of those pieces together, and we can set an actual final date for some time.
Right. Maybe
April.
April. And there's gonna be two, right? Two,
So there has to be a total of technically 3 meetings.
3,
So, we'll do the public engagement meeting. And then there has to be 2 public hearings.
2 public. So how are we going to communicate this
We're
3.
gonna do a 3rd postcard mailing.
with all of them on, all the meetings on it?
So it'll have 2 meetings on
2
it to
meetings.
start with,
Okay.
unless we feel like, and we can revisit this once we really
Right.
get dates on. So the first public hearing takes place while the plan is still
Mm-hmm,
in draft,
Mhm.
before we get too finalized.
right,
So that we can take the information from the public engagement meeting and the first public hearing and adopt that into the plan. And then the second public hearing will take place at the time of adoption. So once the plan is finalized, we will bring it to the town board and say, here's the final plan.
mhm,
It's ready for adoption.
right,
And so we'll have the second public hearing at that time. But at that time, it's really, the plan has been finalized.
Right.
It's sort of just informational.
so where's the 3rd one fit at?
So that's 3.
Oh, that's 3,
There's the 2 public hearings
And
and
then
then
the
the
final.
public engagement meeting.
okay, got it,
So the public engagement and the first public hearing happen while we're still
it's,
drafting this, so that we can take all of that information. And I think also, the public hearing is a great time for us to check in with the town board on where we're at in the process. We can share some of the survey results with them. We can share any feedback from the public engagement meeting. And we can get feedback from if there's certain things they feel strongly about or things they want to share. That's a good time for us to get that feedback from them. So that when we give them the final draft, all of a sudden there's not all this, well, I wish I could have seen this, or I wish you would have done it this way. The first public hearing is really their opportunity to
Right.
give us that feedback.
got it,
So it's open to the public hearing, but I think it's just also a really good chance for us to check in with the town board and get feedback from them as well.
I have
Okay.
a question on the introduction and what we need to do. So are we gonna have? I guess I need to talk to the town historian to kind of get her maybe write a blurb about the history of the town
Yep,
from its founding. But are we gonna put a paragraph in on pre-white people,
I think that would be great.
so I should come up with a paragraph for that?
That would be wonderful.
3 white people.
Well, the HODUS is say it.
The Haudenosaunee.
Haudenosaunee
Yeah, some of the,
Nation.
discussion about the indigenous people.
Oh, right,
Yeah, I mean, there's something, there were people here before
right,
before
absolutely,
the town was founded.
yeah,
And I really appreciate like a lot of conferences and stuff now, they do like a land acknowledgement before they start. And just sort of acknowledge like.
Yeah, I
indigenous
think
cultures
that's-
and Stuff.
It gets carried away a little bit.
there was the north end of Canadice Lake. There was yes, you're right. And my father bought that barn and that land. And when he had it plowed up through some farm, there were tons of arrowheads.
Right.
Just
Really?
crazy, oh yeah, tons of them. And I said, what am I gonna do with these? I don't know. Anyway, but there was something there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other question was pre-glacial, the geology of the area.
I think that is, yeah,
Okay, so
that if you can work on that, I think those all sound like really great additions. And I reached out, we had some of the stuff for the county. Mark Malmandier updated the section about the water project. Jeremy gave the highway section, there might have been a couple of sections we asked him to take a look at. And then I also reached out to Terry Brownwell, and he took a look at the Honeyway Lake section. So we've kind of tapped in some of our partners, so I'll work on pulling all of those pieces in, and I can't even promise you when I'm gonna get you a red line version, but I'll get all of those pieces, and eventually I'll get you a draft version that will have the stuff that we removed crossed off, and then it'll have the new sections added, and that'll all be in red, so you'll be able to see exactly what the changes were.
Okay,
Anything else for this evening's
and Mark updated the water stuff.
You did, yep.
Did in the intro, did he look at upland town and havens have superior rights to the city of Rochester water from the lake? I had a little note here that we might want to footnote that.
In 2.1,
2.1, last part of it. You know, we say that upland town inhabitants have superior rights to the city of Rochester to obtain water from the lakes. I'm curious if that's a true statement. And what are those rights? I mean, you're making a statement, is it true? And that'd be nice to see a footnote.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of interesting, because I've always thought, gee, the city has all the water.
Yeah.
But may not be true.
Yeah.
Or it may be true.
and it also may have changed. Because there was some of the land shifted to the DEC.
Yeah.
The city
usually-
of Rochester.
usually
still
water
has
rights.
Water rights.
Yeah,
and-
usually water rights, at least in the west, are as a whole.
Yeah.
They don't shift necessarily, but anyway,
But yeah, no, I'll double check on that. For sure. Okay. Anything else before we end tonight's meeting? All right, well, thank you guys so much.